Hi everyone. I'm Lindsay with Grow Nebraska. I am the new marketing and business development person here. So I will be the person kind of hosting these trainings from now on. And this is my first one, so bear with me in case I make a mistake. Um, I just wanted to get on and do a few announcements before we start, and then we'll get rolling. So today's webinar is using Excel for bookkeeping, and Susan Tonages is actually going to do that for us. Unfortunately, Susan had a family emergency, so she will not actually be on today to answer any questions or anything like that. But we do have the recording that you're able to watch of her teaching. I would still like, if you have any questions, just chat them, and then I will send her all of the questions at the end in an email, and then I will email all those answers out for you. So don't hesitate to ask those questions in the chat over there. And you can do that in the group chat or just privately chat it to me if you don't feel comfortable. So our featured sponsor this month is Cornerstone Bank, and we just wanted to give a shout out to them and thank them for all of their help. Sponsors are a big part of Grow Nebraska and making what we do a possibility. Our featured member this month is Veteran Roofing. They've been a Grow Nebraska member since 2020, and we recently did a blog story about them. So if you want to check that out on our website, you can head over to the website and look at it there. But we're going to go ahead and get started with Susan Tonage's using Excel for bookkeeping.
Hi, I'm Susan Tonages. I'm a CPA in Kearney, and I am
Okay.
here to talk to you about bookkeeping and Excel. A little bit about me. I have been a CPA for a little over 30 years. I work with governmental accounting, nonprofit accounting, and preparation of income taxes for businesses and individuals. I offer bookkeeping and payroll services. Also, my favorite thing to do is work with small businesses. I love to sit down with people who have a dream and are just getting started. And I love working with them all the way through to learning payroll, learning bookkeeping, learning all the skills that they need to make their business successful, and helping them learn what's important and what isn't in their business. I just love helping people be successful in making their dreams come true. And my part in that is accounting, bookkeeping, payroll services, that type of thing. I get asked questions all the time about what bookkeeping program they should use, how should they keep the books, how to keep track of income and expenses. And as many different businesses as there are in the world, that's exactly how many answers there are. You have to do what works for you. For some people, they like the bookkeeping system in a box. The most popular one that we work with is QuickBooks. There's QuickBooks Desktop, QuickBooks Online. They're completely different, even though they have the same name. And there's some more extensive and more expensive options out there too. And they all have their benefits. They all have the negatives to them. Today, I want to talk about just bookkeeping in Excel. It's one of the less expensive options you have, and it gives you quite a lot of flexibility if you know and understand how to use Excel. It doesn't take great skills to do bookkeeping in Excel, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that. And we'll go over some of the tricks that I think are important to know. I've also got the spreadsheet available to you that I'm working with. You don't have to use it. You can create your own. But I've got to tell you where this spreadsheet comes from. I have a client that I've worked with for 30 years. And when I started working with them, The husband, it's a typical traditional family where the husband was working in this business and the wife was doing the bookkeeping. And at the time, it wasn't a small business. It was fairly large. They had over $1 million in sales and a tidy profit too. They did their books on the old, very old green ledger sheets that would fold open, and they had the leather bound book, and they would keep adding those green ledger sheets to it. And she would write down every transaction in there. Everything totaled perfectly. Her handwriting was so beautiful. And I just loved working with them because everything in their books was complete. It tied out. It was clear. You could understand everything they wanted to do. And it was concise. You could ask a question and she could look in her black book and find the answer. Some people are able to do that with the bookkeeping system. Some people are not. But that was my favorite client to work with. It was my favorite set of books. And so I've modeled this Excel spreadsheet on what this lady did. These people are in their 80s now and retired, and she still keeps their household income and expenses on these green ledger sheets. So this spreadsheet is set up on that system. Basically, I have two income spreadsheets for you. One of them simple because sometimes when you're starting out, you just need to know how much money you brought in. And that's an easy thing. You do need to separate out bank deposits that are not income, but that's really about it. So that's what we're doing on this simple income sheet. Working with Excel, I want to make sure that you know that you can add sheets by clicking this plus sign, and it just adds another sheet. You can move the order of the sheets around if you want. Right click is your friend. You can right click on the sheet tabs and I can delete the one I just created. And you just click on them to change pages, basically. So on this first page, on the first sheet, it's just simple income. And I've got a couple months in here. So looking at this, January 1st, we got some money from Sally. It was $50, and that was a sale, but that's not really enough to go to the bank. So on January 3rd, George came in and spent $400. Now that makes a deposit. So I go take that to the bank. There's two ways I can make this deposit total. I can hit the plus sign and highlight the cells that I want to add. When I'm done, I just hit enter and the total is there. The other way to do that is on the shortcut. So this ribbon up here has shortcuts on it. Auto sum is one that I use quite often. If you click on auto sum, you have something that you can highlight. If you click on the mouse, and you can drag it to highlight the cells that you want to add. So either way is perfectly fine. They come up with the same answer, which is good. So when I took that to the bank, I put $450 in my deposit total. On the 5th, this company ordered $10,000 of my product, or paid me $10,000 for services that I did. So I put that in the sales amount for the receipts, and I took that to the bank right away. Now, on the 10th, I got a refund check. I bought parts at the store, got them back to the shop, and decided I didn't need them, so I took them back. So from the parts store, that's not a sales, that's not income, but it does need to be accounted for. So I would put this out here, and I would put a description. I would want to spell it right, parts refund. So that I know it's not in sales, but it is a deposit in my account. And then I got some big stuff going on, big sales. I need a loan. I went to the bank. The bank gave me a $20,000 loan. That also is not sales, but it is in my deposits. So I want to put that there. On the 16th, Fred came in, paid me $6,000. And I don't know why I didn't take it to the bank. I probably should have, but I didn't. Because then I waited a whole 5 days until Juan came in, and he gave me $782. So I took it all to the bank at that time. And again, you can click on at sum and highlight these areas to get the total, or you can hit the plus sign to add them up. And so that's my deposit total. Now, at the end of the month, all I'm going to do is put the date, put a description of January totals in, and I'm going to add up what's there. You can use auto sum, but you want to highlight everything in the month. Hit enter, there it is. You can copy that over. Oh, again, right click. If you highlight that and you right click, you can copy, right click over here, and you can paste it, and there it is. So now I've got 17,232 is my sales for January. That's what my accountant wants to know. My total deposits for the month is 38,774. This is the number I want to tie to my bank statement. Your bank statement has total debits and credits. This number needs to tie. Then your accountant can see, well, your deposits were this high, but your sales aren't that much. Why is that? You've got these descriptions out here to explain it. They'll be able to tell exactly. As we move on then into February, Sally came back and spent $75. I've got George here. Again, I just added that total for the deposit of 403. Anonymous paid me $8,000. Fred came in. I don't know why I don't deposit his checks on time, but he gave me $4,500 and I held on to it to deposit it with Juan's check. So I've got that total deposit. These should be on your bank statement and they should total this amount, this $13,278. Now in February, my total deposits was the same as my total sales. That might happen, it might not. It depends on how many of these special things you have going on. What I've included then in the year-to-date totals is I've put the year-to-date totals down here, and then I'm going to total January and February. The easiest thing for me to do is to hit the plus key, highlight that for February, and then highlight for January. So now I've got my year-to-date totals there. Then I right-click, I copy and paste. So my total deposits for the 2 months is $52,052. Excuse me. Now I can keep this going. Then when I want to, in March, we can keep going. I'm just going to use the same customers because I'm not very creative. I'm an accountant and I'm not, can't think outside that box. So she's going to spend $25. George is going to spend 152, but I'm going to take that to the bank. So then I'm going to make a deposit for $177. That hardly seems worth it, does it? Anonymous, how much are they going to give us this month? Right. Anonymous, they're going to give us $12,000. Oops, 12,000, not 120. And we'll just take that to the bank right away. Fred will give us $3,000. And then the next day, Juan can come in and give me 158. I'll take those to the bank right away. Then I am ready at the end of the month to do March totals. Again, I'm going to use auto sum, highlight those amounts. There's my total. I'm going to copy and paste it here. My total for bank deposits is the same as sales, again, because I didn't have any loans or parts refunds or anything like that. Nothing messy. And I'm going to make sure this $15,335 ties to my bank receipts. When I'm sure that it does, I'm going to put a year-to-date total in here. And I'm going to use my plus key, take last time's year-to-date totals and add March. Oh, there's another way to copy and paste. See this little green square down there? You can just drag it over and it does the same thing. So now I've got year-to-date sales, I've got year-to-date deposits. And I can keep going through April, May, June, all the way through the end of the year. Then I can give the accountant the spreadsheet and I know what my total sales are. I've tied it out every month to what's going through my bank account. So I know that's right. And you're like, well, that's really nice, Susan, but I have more sales to keep track of. I can't just put it in one column. Well, that's why I did this sheet with the complex income. This is the same thing for January and February, but we just divided it out in 2 more columns. So this time I have sales, Sally and George, they just brought their stuff in for repairs. So we put $50 in repairs income. George paid us $400, put that in repair income. So we've got an invoice total. And then I've got a deposit total. Now, Anonymous, we sell these materials and we'll assemble them. So then we can sell them an assembled unit, or they can just buy the materials and assemble it themselves. We also fix some of the stuff that we sell. So Sally and George had us fix stuff. Anonymous paid us for assembled units. So we put that in the assembled sales amount, the $10,000 right there. Again, the invoice total is a sum. You can see that I've used AutoSum to add everything on that line for Anonymous Company. And the deposit total, that's the only check in there. My refund of parts is not sales. That's not on an invoice, but it is a bank deposit. So I've got it listed there. The loan proceeds, I've got it listed as a deposit, but not a sales. Fred, he likes to buy his units assembled also. So it goes in assembled sales. Juan, he can do that work himself and he likes to do it. So he just buys the materials from us and puts it all together himself. So that's in the material sales, but it still comes over here to the invoice total. And when I make the deposit for both of those checks, that's the deposit amount. And so you can see that total sales of $17,232 is the same as on my simple spreadsheet, but now we know how much we sold in just materials, how much we sold in assembled units, and how much we brought in for our repair work. The bank deposits, the deposit total, we still want to tie that to the bank statement. Every month you want to tie that to the bank statement. Moving on to February, it's the same thing. Sally and George bring their stuff in for repairs. Anonymous and Fred, they like to buy the assembled units. Oh, look what's happening. We're losing our titles here. Here's another Excel tip I can give you. This one's a little bit more of a pro tip. If you go, you can highlight. We want everything above what I've highlighted to stay there so we can scroll down and see all these numbers, right? If you go to view and freeze the panes, then I can scroll down and we never lose these titles on the columns. And that's kind of handy, not just for January and February, but when you get down to December, it's really important. So I'm going to scroll down to February, and we're talking about Sally and George. They've got their repair income. George or Anonymous and Fred like the assembled units, and Juan bought some more materials. So we know how much we sold in materials. We know the total assembled sales. And we know the total repair income for February. Those total, the invoice totals, and for February, they also tie to the deposit totals because we don't have any refunds or bank loans or anything like that. So again, this $13,278 needs to tie to your bank statement. That's a really important thing to do. The year-to-date totals are just adding the February totals. February totals plus the January totals for the year-to-date. So we know year-to-date we sold 28,500 in assembled units. Our total sales is 30,510. And we've put $52,052 in the bank account. You can keep going like I did for March and just add this year-to-date to your March totals and carry it all the way down and you've got the whole year done. So really, the income, I think, is fairly simple to do. If you find halfway through the year you need to add another column in here, you can right click on that column, right click up here in the gray part to highlight the whole column, or left click up there, sorry, then right click once it's highlighted and insert a column. So if you decide you start charging sales tax on something, you can add a column, and in March, if Sally buys $100 of materials, we can have 5.5% sales. So we can add that to the sales tax when we do our invoice totals. We can use AutoSum 105.50 then. And so we keep track of our sales tax. Then when George comes in, we configure it. We can do a formula to figure out the sales tax, and you can copy and paste, or you can drag this down. Now, maybe that's where we want to make our deposit. So we're going to deposit those two things. Our deposit should be $316.50. You can just keep adding things, subtracting things. You can just go with this as you want to. It's really flexible. That's one of the benefits about your Excel spreadsheet, is that it's really flexible. One of the bad things is that you can mess it up. What if you're not paying attention and all of a sudden you started typing here and you're like, oh my goodness, what have I done? I've made a mess. Undo. See this little arrow here? It says undo typing. You can click undo and go back as far as you want. Oh, look, now I went back too far. This is redo. It'll put it back. Undo, redo, really important features in Excel. And save your spreadsheet quite often. If you know you got it and it ties, save it, and then you can move on to your expenses. The expenses again, company name. This is just accounting stuff that accountants always put in there, so I had to. It's just who I am. We can scroll up here a little bit and freeze the panes. Remember that pro tip? View, freeze panes. Then we can scroll back and forth if we want to. The expenses are set up a little different than the income. You've got this part here, which is basically just your check register, the date, the check number, whether it's EFT. Some people put EFT, some people put ACH, some people just leave it blank, and that's fine too. But put your check number. If you write a check, put the check number in there. Otherwise, however you want to handle your automatic withdrawals is fine by me. And then whoever this is paid to, I didn't want to put any names to give, I guess, you know, to share anything, but your repair shop, you paid it to the repair shop, $25.60. Paid the cell phone bill for $44.90. These are all of the checks that we wrote in January. This is a spacer just to help you differentiate. Columns F through T then are the expense categories, and you can make these anything you want. You can take out a column. There's nothing in office supplies, so I can delete it. Or I'm like, oh, I wanted that back in there. I can insert that and I can call it office supplies. Maybe your shop utilities, you want to divide out the telephone from the gas and electric. So you can add a column to do that. You just right click over here, insert, you can add a column and break that out. You don't have to have it there. So the expenses that you use most often would get a heading, and you can add as many columns. This will go out for however far you need. You can keep going past that too. But I would caution you to not use too many categories, because you lose your focus. You want to know how much is in utilities. Sometimes you have a reason for breaking out the phone bill. Sometimes you have a reason for breaking out maybe the electric if you have intense machinery use or something like that. If you have a reason for tracking it, absolutely break it out. Otherwise, I would recommend that you kind of keep it to a smaller amount of accounts so that you can keep track of your expenses and see some trends and things like this. This is a very simple one. I've got payroll and payroll taxes in here, but we don't even use those. So the $25.60 spent at the repair shop would go over to repairs and maintenance. The cell phone bill, these people just like to keep it in shop utilities, so we put it right here. Cash, they took cash out. Well, that's a personal withdrawal, so we just have an account for that. Natural gas, electric, telephone, cable, all of those are in shop utilities, so I just typed those amounts in there. The fuel has its own category, parts and farm parts or repairs and maintenance. County treasurer, that was licensing something, and probably a trailer or a really old truck. And so that goes in taxes and licensing. The Internal Revenue Service, this guy made his fourth quarter deposits out of his business account. So we put that in personal, and there's his fourth quarter estimates. And I got this description out here so that, again, you can put notes out there so you know what it is, so your accountant knows what it is, and you can keep track of things this way. Truck body shop, maybe you ran into a pole or something. And that's in repairs and maintenance. When you get January done, you can put your January totals here. Again, you can add up your auto sum or add up your column using auto sum and highlighting the whole thing. You can also do the plus sign, but this takes a while. I don't generally have the patience for this. And come up with your January total there. Now you can copy, paste, and put it all the way over here over all of the columns all at once, and it adds them up. But you need to know that these totals need to total this, need to tie to the January totals. So I put an extra line in here just to put the expense totals. And if we click on this, you can see that I used the auto sum and highlighted all of those totals to be added up into this cell. This cell and this tie. If I had made a mistake when I transferred these numbers over, you would see that these cells do not tie. Then I have to go back and see what I've done here. Make sure that 4490, make sure the 250, I would eventually get down here and be like, oh, there's my mistake. The check was for $115. So then I know that my expense totals tie to my January totals, and this needs to tie to your bank statement. This is just like the income. You want this to tie to the January bank statement, and you're done for the month. We can move on to February, and it's the same thing. All of these totals are here. I add them all up. And once I get done, I can do my year-to-date totals. And all that is, I use the plus key to add February totals and January totals to add up right there. I copied that across so that I know for the year now, shop utilities for the first 2 months cost me almost $1,500. I know that. And I've got my expense totals here where I added up all of these. Oh, look what I did. I added office supplies, but I didn't add it to the total. That could be a problem, couldn't it? We can just hit the plus sign, add that total in. So now we know that everything is included in there. This ties to my year-to-date totals. And so I'm good. I'm done for all the way to February now. I want to make sure that my February checks tie to the bank statement. Once I do that, I know I'm golden, and I have one page. You can pick whichever one you want for your income. I have a page for my expenses. And I can send this spreadsheet to my accountant and they know everything I've done all year and all the information is right there. If I've kept good track of the descriptions and told them what I've got going on, they'll be able to do my tax return easily, which is really kind of your goal, isn't it? You want your accountant to know what's going on, and you want to be able to see what you've got going on with your income and expenses. And really, that's all I have for the Excel spreadsheet. I want to make sure that you know what you're doing. You can right-click is your friend. You can copy something and paste it. So you can do your totals all along. You can use, when you want to do totals, you can either use auto sum and then highlight everything, or you can do like this and hit the plus key and highlight and click on every box you want included in there. We talked about undo, we talked about redo, and the other thing that I have going on is freezing panes so that you don't lose these column totals. And you can, if you get tired of it, you can turn them off and go to unfreeze panes, and then you can see everything above there. And the scrolling works like it used to. You just highlight everything, highlight right below everything that you want to see. Go to view, freeze panes, and then your column totals, excuse me, your column descriptions are all showing up right there. You can add a sheet. If it were me and I were using this as my own, I would leave these columns here and know that they're the sample companies. I would take a new sheet. Do you know how to copy a new sheet? If you highlight right here where this triangle is, it highlights the whole sheet there. So then you can right click, copy, go back here and click the same spot and paste. Now this is all yours. If you double click right down here, you can call it yours. So this is your working copy of income. Then you can highlight everything and just delete it. Hit the delete key, or you can right click and clear contents. Now you can start putting your information in, whatever you have. And you can put your sales amount, your deposit total. You can go through and create this how you want it to work. You can add a sheet, then copy the expenses again. Click on that little triangle in the corner, copy it. Do that again and right click and paste. If you double click down here, you can do your working copy expenses. Then you can highlight all of this stuff and just make it go away. You can delete it, or you can clear the contents. I don't care. That way, as you're working in here, you can go back and be like, oh, what did Susan say about that? Oh, this is how it is. And how did she do that? What does this say in here? Oh, she hit the plus sign. That's right. That's what's going on there. And you can highlight this and say, oh, there's that sum thing. That was that adding thing she did. Oh, over here, auto sum. So you can kind of see what you're doing there, or what I was doing when I was explaining it to you, so that you can do your own thing in the spreadsheet. I really think this is a good way to keep track of your income and expenses. If you're putting it in here, you're reviewing what you've done. It helps keep it fresh in your mind, and it helps you kind of keep track of where you're at and what you're doing with things. You know your business better than anybody. So you're going to come up with the best answers. You're going to be able to put this in the expenses, and you're going to know when it's right and when it's not. The big thing is to tie it back to your bank statements. Once you've done that, you know you've done a good job and you've got everything in there. You're not missing huge gaps of information. There's nothing like that in there. So I hope this helped you. Feel free to use my sample spreadsheet, make your own, make it work like you want it to. And I'm going to hang out for just a few more minutes if you have any questions. Thank you.
Okay, everyone. So that was full of great information. I learned some things that I didn't know, and I thought I knew Excel pretty well, but my favorite was definitely how to freeze those cells. I am always trying to do that. Jane, that's a great question about how to get a sample of these spreadsheets. I will email those out to you, the samples for you to use. If you have any other questions, guys, just chat them real quick. I'm going to pass those on to Susan. Like I said, she had a family emergency, and that's why she couldn't be here with us today, and she feels really bad about that, but we completely understand. So I'll send all of your questions to her, and then I will email out to you her responses to those questions. So if there is any extra questions, just chat them. I will be sending out this recording as well. So if you need to go back and reference, if you're like me and that's kind of how you learn, you do and watch at the same time, then you'll have those sheets that you can be working in and watch her instructions at the same time. I do that a lot for learning. So I'll be sending out this recording afterwards. And then, like I said, I'll send out the answers to all those questions as well as the sample sheets for you to use. My contact information is on the screen there. Again, my name is Lindsay Brazil. I am the new marketing and business development person here with Grow Nebraska, and I'm really excited to be here. My cell phone number is right there on the screen as well as my email. So if you need to get a hold of me or in touch, or if you're just looking for some more learning opportunities, as well as if you wanted to be a presenter, if you feel like you have expertise in some area that could help other small business owners or just people in general, whether it's social media, financial, accounting, sales, really anything. We're just looking for more people to help train as well. So you can contact me there for any of those or for any questions. Or if you just want to get to know more about Grow Nebraska. I know we have some people who aren't members that are on the trainings. So with that, I am going to sign off here. Thanks for joining this Grow Nebraska Foundation webinar training. And then look for our next one in December. And we will be posting that on our website to be able to sign up for, as well as through our social media. Just get signed up for that one. And hopefully we see you again soon. Thanks, everyone.